Corley Moore coming at you. Wanted to talk very briefly before the scrap starts tonight. And if you know me, you know that I love the vigilantes. I love the like-minded souls, and I'm always looking for ways that we can have more interaction. One of the things that every vigilante says when they join is they're looking to connect with those like-minded souls. They're looking to connect with other vigilantes and people who feel the way they feel. And so I'm constantly looking for ways to make that happen. So far, I love Patreon. I love Patreon for bringing us together, but it hasn't created that the ability to share information and things the way I wanted. But one thing we did discover was that Discord is integrated into Patreon. So we've been working for the last couple weeks to launch a Discord server where the vigilantes can get together and hang out. Now, I'll be the first person to say I am not a tech guru. I'm much better at forcing doors and hook and sealing. I'm better at destroying stuff than I am at using technology. But that being said, Discord has so many options that look like they could be phenomenal for the vigilantes and for our growth and for the fellowship and the camaraderie that we want to share. It's got chat rooms that you can post in, separated by category, where we can have great discussions. It's got voice channels you can jump in and have voice discussions with people at the drop of a hat without needing to start a Zoom call or anything. You just drop in and drop out. You can share screens. We have plans. People have plans to share classes that they've built so they can get feedback before they go and teach those classes. I mean, there's so much that could be used for this Discord server, and we're just scratching the surface. So get in, come be a part of it, man. It looks to be an incredible platform, and if you want to be a part of it, head over to patreon.com/thevigilantes. Become a part, man. If you're not a vigilante, why not? $5 a month. You can't even afford a fancy coffee nowadays for $5. So $5 a month, you're a member of the like-minded souls. So come be a part. Looking forward to seeing and talking to you in the Discord. Stay safe.
Introducing the Affordable Standpipe Prop, another innovative solution by Affordable Drill Towers. The Affordable Standpipe Prop is a realistic training prop that allows you to conduct real-world training in your classroom and flow water in your parking lot. Crafted with efficiency and affordability in mind, the Affordable Standpipe Prop is designed to meet the needs of engine company training. We took the fire suppression system of a 7-story building, compressed it into 4.5 feet, and mounted it horizontally on our proprietary cart. For durability, the manifold is constructed of 4-inch Schedule 40 galvanized pipe with 7 2.5-inch outlets. Enjoy effortless maneuverability from 4 heavy-duty casters, 2 that are fixed and 2 that swivel with double locking brakes makes wheeling this prop a breeze. Yet, the locking casters prevent movement when flowing water. The entire unit is sandblasted. An epoxy powder coat finish is applied, followed by a red top powder finish. 2 reinforced shelves allow for transport and storage of fire hose, appliances, and tools. The basic model includes a 2.5-inch Siamese fire department connection, 6 2.5-inch angle hose valves, a system pressure gauge, and a sprinkler head with a control valve and water motor gong. The 7th outlet comes capped. The Affordable Standpipe Prop is available with your choice of Fireground adjustable pressure reducing valves from Elkhart Brass, Zurn, and Giacomini. You can also add the Dixon PRD, a screw-on adjustable pressure restricting device, a 7th standard hose valve, an additional sprinkler head, or the optional speed swivel appliance that can be used on the FDC. We pressure test the Affordable Standpipe Prop to 300 psi so that you can pump realistic fireground pressures. If you need custom threads, a specific FDC, have any questions, or need a quote, just let us know. Elevate your training regimen with the Affordable Standpipe Prop, setting a new standard in fire department training excellence. Reach us at 84455 Towers or info@affordabledrilltowers.com.
Corley Moore, Firehouse Vigilance. It is weekly scrap number 264. My guest tonight is the man from the future, the wonder from down under, the one and only Steve Kaiser. He began his fire service career in 2003 as a volunteer, in 2008 as a career firefighter. In 2020, the Fire Service of Australia underwent a massive reform. Since that time, he has been actively involved in instructing at the academy while also maintaining his operational responsibilities. His focus when he teaches is on compartment fire behavior, structural firefighting tactics with a specialized emphasis on thermal imaging and rapid intervention teams. He makes his own way to FDIC for the last 3 years, and that is where I had the pleasure to meet him in person. In his own words, he is absolutely loving life and riding the back seat, practicing what he preaches at the academy. Welcome, my brother, Steve Kaiser, as the guest of Weekly Scrap number 264.
Wow, what a privilege! What a privilege to be here, man. Of all of the great names you've had on this show over the last 4 or 5 years, and now it's my turn. I'm here. It's like this is surreal.
I love it, brother. I absolutely love it. Is there anything I missed in the intro? Anything I got wrong? Anything you want to correct?
No, that's me. That's me in a nutshell. That's my fire service career, and I'm only halfway.
Awesome. I love it. Audience, please get your questions primed and ready for Steve and myself. Kyle is in the YouTube chat. He is in the chat, ready to grab your questions and throw them up here. So please, please, please throw your questions at me and Steve. Sam is also here. He's watching over, making sure things run smoothly. Now let's talk about the beautiful sponsors, the OG sponsor of the scrap, Keyhose. Check them out online at keyhose.com and follow them on Facebook. Affordable Drill Towers, on a mission to bring you cost-effective and versatile training props like the Affordable Bailout Prop, which allows you to practice window bailouts, ladder bailouts, and ladder high point rescues. They also make the Affordable Standpipe Prop, which you can roll into the classroom for standpipe theory and then roll it into the parking lot where you can pump realistic flows and pressures. Of course, their mainstay, their namesake, the Affordable Drill Tower. It comes in several configurations and standard with a standpipe system. You can choose from 1 or 2 sets of stairs or integrate it into your existing connect boxes for multi-story access or freestanding on a slab. All models are NFPA 1402 compliant and gain you ISO credit. The only thing you can't do on an affordable drill tower is live fire training. Call Steve at 844-55-TOWER or drop an email to info@affordabledrilltower.com. FirestationFurniture.com provides a complete line of quality furniture for your firehouse. Firefighter owned and operated. They understand the strain that firefighters put on furniture and offer furniture that's built to last. Visit www.firestationfurniture.com for more information. And with all that being said, the sponsors are done and it's time to get to scrapping. So let me just read a little bit of the YouTube to get you fired up here, Steve. We've got them checking in because they check in a little early, especially the front row seat guys. They come early. And that's McGinn. Greg White said, LFG Sam, let's go. Robbie Lyle said, ready to time travel to the future. Let me scrolling, trying to scroll. Luke Stevenson said, good day from Sydney, Australia. Looking forward to seeing Aussie Steve. Hope you can understand our accent. We'll see how that goes. We will see how it goes. And then there's a whole bunch of let's go. Here we go. Looking forward to it. Let's go. So there we go. There we go. So excellent. Excellent. Okay. There we go. I was checking to see if Rob is sound okay. Sam, is the sound okay? Okay. Just checking. All right. Here we go, Steve. Let's talk about it. Right out the gate.
Let's
I want to
go.
talk. You travel to FDIC for the last 3 years, I believe. And you pretty much do it on your own.
Yeah.
You can correct me if I'm wrong. You pretty much pay to get here on your own. So the first thing I wanted to say before we even started talking was if you're out there and you're saying, man, I'd like to go to outside training, I'd like to get to a conference, but I can't make it happen. My department won't help me, or, my chief, whatever. You're out of excuses because this man travels halfway around the globe. So, all right. But seriously, talk to me about the differences as you see them, your perspective from America to Australia, and the differences, just in general.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like we're different, but we're the same wherever we go. Like I can speak to anyone in the States and we can sit down and have this conversation about firefighting. Um, there's always these little differences. You get it between stations, between states, between countries, but you still have that same common vernacular with each other. Like you can talk about firefighting and have a conversation where if somebody has no idea about firefighting, they'll be just looking at us going, these guys are speaking gibberish. What are they talking about? So it's fantastic being able to go to places like the States and speak with everybody. And it blows my mind. You go to FDIC, one of the biggest conferences in the world, other than Interschutz, and you speak with the people that I only dreamt about ever listening to, big name hitters, and you're speaking to them just like you've been in a conversation for years.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Anything surprised you at all? What was the biggest surprise for you, or was there one?
Just how big the American fire service is in comparison to us, and how it's ordered. So we're a state-based fire service in most of the states in Australia. So we've got about 6 or 7 states that have their own fire services. Might have 1 or 2 fire services inside that state, and that's it. So probably 20, 25 fire service all up. Someone will correct me for sure. But to have 20,000 departments in the United States, all of them mostly self-managed to some degree and of varying sizes. It just blew my mind to go to FDIC and see 30,000 people, and it wasn't even the whole fire service there. Was amazing to see. It was just a big eye opener. That's the biggest difference for me. And then the differences between everybody's policies, everybody's fire ground practices, and how you have to integrate a one brigade or department, sorry, coming from one area and another one come from another area and work together. It's not a very common practice here in Australia. We're pretty similar how we operate across the board.
Across the board? And you think that's from the state down, just being just all everybody's kind of under the same bureau?
Yeah, a lot of our information, a lot of our history comes from Britain, obviously, from the UK. We're still under the King's monarchy, which is awesome, but that also keeps everything fairly similar. We don't have huge practice differences across the board, which is really good because if I was to go up to, say, Queensland in the north of the country, I could probably slot straight in at my current rank and still be able to operate seamlessly next to them.
Wow. No, no, no. That is a uniformity that doesn't exist here, without a doubt. We're still working on common vernacular in certain aspects, and struggling to make that happen. Uh, uh, I'm trying to read what everybody's saying. I love it, man. This man heavily involved in training. I want to talk to you about your training methodology.
Yeah. Yeah, I joined training about 5 years ago out of frustration a little bit. I was
Okay.
seeing a lot of new recruits coming to station and just doing things we weren't quite doing operationally. There was that little bit of a disconnect. Um, so I've always had that mindset, well, I can't argue against anything unless I go and see it. So I put my hand up, went to training, and wow, did that change my life? It made me realize 2 things. One was we were training firefighters in minimum skills, which has its own problems and qualities, um, and I still needed to learn a lot more. So
As the
a
instructor,
lot of
you feel
yeah, as an instructor and as a firefighter, I
okay.
thought before I became an instructor that my shit didn't stink. Yeah, I thought I was pretty good. And then what I found was, wow, I had no idea how in depth all our information comes from. So it was a huge turnaround for me, big eye opener, and love every minute of it now. Every minute of it. It is an opportunity to be in depth at every skill level because if you're going to teach it, you've got to be able to do it. And if you can't do it, you shouldn't be teaching it.
Oh, I like it. I like it. Hold on a
So
second.
with the methodology, it's simple. It is really simple. It's that crawl, walk, run. You know, taking the student on a journey of understanding what they're about to do and how to do it. And most importantly, and I think everybody talks about this on the scrap, is why. Why do we do it that way? especially with the newer generations. They want to know why. You can just tell them to do something and they'll turn around and say, well, why do I have to do that?
Right.
So we have to cater to everybody.
Oh, I love it. You talked about your favorite things to teach, your favorite topics to teach. What's your favorite one to teach to new recruits specifically? Not necessarily your favorite topic overall, but favorite one to teach to recruits.
Hose management. Hose management. You see recruits come in and for the first maybe quarter of their journey in recruit courses, their hose management is lackluster a little bit. They still don't know. They're still learning, yeah.
Right.
And then we get them at this really sweet spot where we break everything down, take them through this really simple approach like crawl, walk, run, or cognitive, associative, autonomous. And then after they've done the sessions with us on hose management and learning the system, they go back to their instructor cadre and wow, their instructors are like, why are they so much faster now? How are they moving through a building with ease? Whereas last week, they were pulling the hose from the truck still. Now they've got a system of work.
Nice. So is it that systematic implementation that really is what makes the difference?
Yeah, people need systems. Systems helps people understand and put things into order. And we work on a very basic principle of threes. We try and teach in threes.
Okay.
Keep everything simple in threes, and you can break down the three even more. So for us with hose management, we start at first hose deployment. You got to get the hose off the truck to the front door or wherever the entry point is.
Sure.
And if you don't do that well, it's going to make everything else start to snowball. Yeah, it's going to be hard. So we teach that very simplistically, and we teach it with no stress. Just this is how we get the hose off.
Right.
Here's a few variations. If there's an obstacle in front of you, this is how you now got to move around the obstacle, and we take them through that journey step by step. Then we talk about, okay, now you're going to go from the front door or from the entry point to the fire. So whatever the structure is, commercial, residential, we talk about, right, what position are you in and what is your role? So we have two positions primarily. Be branch operator, so branch firefighter. So nozzle firefighter for the American listeners out there. So we call a nozzle.
Nozzle is branch.
Yeah, so nozzle
Okay.
is a branch.
Okay.
So, so our nozzle firefighter and our backup firefighter, which could be multiple backup firefighters. But our nozzle firefighter only has 3 responsibilities. That's it. They've got to be able to cool the space ahead of them, protect the path of egress. So if something goes wrong, we can get back out, or we find a victim, we can get back out. And extinguish fire. It's super simple for them. And the guy behind them, or the person behind them, is going to be the backup firefighter. And they've got 3 responsibilities. They're going to manage the hose. They're going to look for paths of, they're looking for the, gone mind blank. They're looking for fire, heat sources, points of entry, everything with the thermal imaging camera primarily. Right. Eyes if they can, torch, but then the thermal imaging camera. And they're going to, so what's that? Management hose, and they're going to force entry as well. So they're going to take the irons and make sure they can get through everything. I may have messed that up a little bit, but that's pretty much it. Yeah. So they're going to have 3 responsibilities, and the firefighter has 3 responsibilities. Now, it doesn't matter what rank that is or which person it is. And if they swap halfway, those responsibilities are owned to that position. And what does that do for an incident controller? Heaps. They know that that person has that job. And they are going to have that responsibility the whole way through the firefight.
Just frees up bandwidth for the commander.
Absolutely.
You call it incident
frees
controller?
Up bandwidth for everybody.
Incident controller?
Yeah, we call it incident controller.
Okay. No, I like it. I just pointing out the differences as I decipher.
Yeah.
I love it, brother. I absolutely love the 3s, man. The rule of 3s, I always miss them up. The autonomous,
Aaron Fields says it the best.
Yeah,
crawl,
I just say
walk, run
crawl,
is the
walk, run
layman's
because
term.
I can remember it.
Yeah.
I've got questions coming at you from the audience. Are you ready for those?
Let's go.
All right. There's a ton of them coming. So Kyle Romigus leading it off. So you got Mr. Smoothbore coming at you right out the gate. Steve, since coming to the States for training, what are some tactics that you have been able to implement back home, if there are any?
Oh, look, there's heaps. Knowledge sharing between whether it's outside your department or outside your country is you've got to do it. You've got to do it. Whether you can physically go there or you've got to do it over social media or books. Books is a big part. You've just got to get out there and look at what everyone's doing. Even if you don't implement it, you've got to have an understanding of everything out there because there's little bits you can take. The key one I just spoke about is the FDI trips. We got to meet up with Aaron Fields, myself, and a couple of really good am I frozen? Am I good?
You did for a second, but you're back. I was waiting. Are you here?
So yeah, we got to meet up with Aaron Fields, and we did the nozzle forward program. And for us, we don't have a lot of smooth bore, large diameter hose tactics here. To implement that would require a lot of change.
Sure.
But the tactics and techniques of moving hose, regardless of diameter, is amazing. So we introduced that to our brigade here. And that's now running in a program where we use it as hose deployment and hose management. And then we put on the end of that water application.
Nice.
So there's three common things to go from the truck to the fire. Rapid intervention teams, which is new for our country. We don't do it as much or as well as other countries, and the US being the main one. So implementing and making doctrine and getting training for that is at the very beginning for us.
Okay.
And the same for a lot of states. And the other one is thermal imaging cameras. They've come a long way. Well, our understanding of thermal imaging cameras used to be how to turn it on, what it was made of, its limitations, etc. But working with Insight Training, who you had on last week, working with Andy Starnes and Tim, sorry, Thomas, is just amazing. You just see a different way, and it validates what we already thought we knew. But they do it in such a way that it's easy to understand and easy to implement.
Oh yeah.
So we talk about live fire layout. We've changed the order a little bit the way we do it to make it more suitable to how we have our processes. So we talk about live layout fire, and that's that difference in temperatures. So using the tick and understanding how that works, instead of just going straight for the hot stuff and whiting it out, we're using it from cold to hot. But looking for those life, which is down low, the layout all the way through, and fire at the end where it's hot up the top.
I got no.
I don't know if you noticed. I was holding a gangster grip too. So if Andy Starnes gets to see this, he'll be pretty proud about that. That came straight from him. So yeah, there's lots of things we implement, but then we go to the UK as well, and we look at what they do, and we go, wow, yeah, maybe we can implement some of that stuff. Europe has there's one thing called the smoke curtain. I think that's going to be a game changer globally. The way that it protects the path of egress and escape routes in high-rise buildings is amazing. It's amazing. If you can Google it, Michael Reich, Reick, man, this guy, that invention that he's made, it's a game changer.
Love it. I'm going to throw this one out of order at you. It's coming from Rob Fisher. He said, Aussie rule football or rugby?
So I'm from Victoria. Victoria's down south. Victoria is pretty much the home of AFL, Australian Football League. So Aussie rules football. Yeah. Rugby is more towards the northern states, New South Wales and Queensland. We do have a mix in between, but yeah, look, I'm Australian rules football all the way. And for any Australian people listening, you'll know I'm a Bulldog supporter. I've been a Bulldog supporter since I was a kid. You got to love them. You got to have your loyalty, I think, and that's my loyalty.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Sticking with Rob Fisher, I like this question, so I want to hear your answer. Rob wants to know, Aussie Steve, it seems like there is not much pride in brotherhood slash sisterhood in the Australian Fire Department. Do you think this is a correct observation? And do you wish it was different? He is frozen. Okay,
Man,
I
I
didn't.
missed half of that. It chopped out on me.
No, no, I'll
Go
read it.
again. Let's
I'll
see
read
how we
it
go.
back to you. Are you back with me? Mic check, mic check. My. All right, I'm gonna wait.
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
gonna give.
I'm here. Let's go.
Well, spoke too soon. I will talk to the audience for a minute because I am interested in is the bulldog. Luke Stevenson can answer me from the YouTube. He could tell me if he's talking about Bulldogs. Is that if that's an AFL team or if that's the UGA, like someone said in the chat. You back, Steve? Maybe.
Yes, yes. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here.
All right, we're trying. Hey, it's
I'm
a
here.
scrap. Steve said it was a
Can you
scrap.
hear?
I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes. Good.
All right.
Yes. Yes.
Rob Fisher's question. Here it is. He says, Aussie Steve, it seems like there is not much pride and brotherhood sisterhood in the Australian Fire Department. Do you think this is a correct observation? And do you wish it was different?
It's a good question. I think there is a lot of pride in being a firefighter in Australia. Absolutely. Across the board. But we don't express it like the Americans do. And that's probably why it looks like we're not proud of it. I definitely know every firefighter is proud of being a firefighter. I've not met one person who doesn't want to be a firefighter or doesn't tell people that they're a firefighter. But we are a little bit more humble, and we're probably not a little bit, we're not outgoing in the way that we approach it, which is us. That's our style. That's the Australian way. We're not very extroverted in the way that we present all our information. We're very reserved as a nation. So to say that we're not proud of being firefighters, I wouldn't believe so. I think everyone's proud of being a firefighter, but we don't wear uniforms out in the public. You very rarely see a firefighter wearing firefighting t-shirts out in the public. It does happen, but for us, usually we try and keep it on the down low. It's that bit of humility about it and being humble. I think in our fire service, it doesn't mean that we're not professional because some of the most professional firefighters are going around. We love it, and we're very passionate about being um, the best on the fire ground that we can be.
Right.
So yeah.
No, it's tough. It was a great question from Rob. I love the question. I like the answer even more because culturally,
Oh,
it's just kind of ingrained to just kind of be reserved and humble about it.
yeah, absolutely. And it's the same with everything that we do. Like I think we always ask questions to strangers that we just meet. What do you do? All that kind of stuff. And we
Sure.
never hide that we're firefighters. Um, Sometimes we're a bit weary about saying it because then you'll spend the whole night talking about being a firefighter.
Sure. Sure.
Um, uh, but we're definitely proud of it. We're absolutely proud of it. And it's the same everywhere, all around the world. I don't think anyone I've ever met in any country says that they're not proud of being a firefighter. It's one of those professions that everyone loves. We're always there to do a good job, and we're well respected wherever you go.
Hold on. I got to write down the timestamp. Well, I got to get a good name on it so I can remember later. I'm terrible about taking notes, so I have to try it and do good. No, I absolutely love that. And Rob did clarify. He said he wasn't really talking about the individual because he understands that, but more about the profession and department pride, like identity and stuff like that. Is that a fair assessment? Or
Yeah.
no?
Yeah, I think there's small groups of small pockets who have huge pride in their stations. We definitely talk ourselves up between stations. So yeah, for instance, one station next to another station will say that we're better than them all the time. Yeah,
Right,
we always
right.
have that joke and that jest with each other.
Sure.
And we definitely try and keep our trucks, station, everything looking clean, looking tidy, as the public expects of a taxpayer funds going to good work. Yeah.
Sure.
One thing I'd love to see in the fire service is maybe a bit more personal identity, like maybe station crests and things like that to show a bit more ownership and pride of themselves. I don't know if that's the right wording,
I know what
but
you mean, but
you know,
identity almost. It's
yeah,
just individualism or
yeah,
team.
yeah, absolutely,
Right.
yeah, yeah. But I don't think we need it because we work well as teams. We
Right.
work. I can work with any. I can go to any station, and we function just the same as if I'm at my own station. We work together. We work together very well, and we mix in with the other services, so police and ambulance, extremely well. Like there's
Nice.
just synergy there. Is it visible to the public? Not so much.
I love it. Jason Haynes coming at you. Great question, Jason. He says, how do the studies that UL put on translate to your tactics and strategies with, with your building construction and attack packages? Any differences or pretty similar to the U.S. Fire Service?
Yeah, there's differences, but then there's not. The construction for us, we've got a lot of mixed construction, a lot of lightweight construction. Yeah, remember our country is probably 200 years younger than your country. So we're still building, and our high-rise environment is a lot of new building stock. You look at the skyline of Melbourne, where I'm from, and in the last 20, 30 years, it's doubled from what I remember as a kid. So we've got a lot of really passive fire safety systems inbuilt into our buildings. So we don't have to deal with the big old legacy high-rise buildings like you would in the States. But the UL studies has been amazing, and I think everyone around the world is listening to UL, IFSI. I fire, you know which one I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
FR.
um,
Yeah. Don't get me spouting
yeah,
letters.
yeah.
Yeah, FRSI, Fire Research Safety Institute. Yes.
Yes,
We'll
that's the
say that's
one.
it.
And that's it. That's it. Um, what I love is it actually helps us clarify a lot of stuff because their data sets are data. It's not opinion based. So when they do a study on transitional attack, for example, we can then take that data and that terminology, compare it to our terminology and experience because we don't have a lot of data, and then implement it. So for us down south, we've really looked at the IFSI transitional attack on the single story structures that they were doing and implemented that into our training. So we do look at it. We look everywhere though, not just the US, but definitely UL is a big source for us. Do we do everything from the UL? No, because some of the tactics just don't work. For example, the smoothbore flow and move tactics doesn't suit us because we have combination nozzles. Sorry, Kyle, combination is what's in Australia. um, but we've got to master the combination nozzle in a way that works for us in our built environment. And we do. We found some of the best tactics from the US and the UK and made it into an Australian way of fighting fire.
No, I love it. I absolutely love it. And that's the other thing about being like top down, like everybody belongs to the same organization, is that it's not like you can just go in and change your nozzles if you wanted to, because it would be almost a national movement to get it to happen. Correct?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Or
so
somewhat,
the fire
somewhat
set.
correct.
Oh, look, it will take years to change for us. We're a big boat. My fire service is probably about almost tipping 4,000 uniform. So to train 4,000 uniform in a new tactical technique takes a long time, takes a very long time, and takes a lot of money. So not only just buying the equipment, the study for the equipment, but then implementing the equipment, training on the equipment, maintaining that equipment. For a large service of my size, that's millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Um, and it takes a long time. So in a small service where you've got only maybe 4 or 5 stations and you can put in a change and have it done within a few months, it's fantastic. But for us, it takes a long time and you need a lot of buy-in. So to go from a combination nozzle to a smoothbore nozzle for us would be a massive culture change.
And it would be the
And
entirety. It's not like one small area inside of it, and then it can
yeah,
spread. It has to all be done at once.
yeah,
Or
exactly. And my state is about the same size as Utah. Yeah,
okay,
that's the fire service that we have. So it's not just a local locality; it's the whole state, the size of Utah. Yeah? And to try and get something to work in the furthest corner of the state, as well as the CBD, they both have to be the same. Whatever I apply and do in the city has to work out at our smallest urban sprawls furthest from us in the state. So to get that training right is very difficult.
nice, nice. I love the question. I love the question on the UL, and then yeah, also on. Thank you for it. Rob Fisher says, Rob, since you brought up the smoke curtain, can you explain Australia's search process? I'm assuming trucks or whatever they are called down there are much different than they are here in the States.
Yes, yes. We're still very British in a way that we approach firefighting. So we don't have engine companies, truck companies. So we call our frontline trucks, which we call, or appliances, we call them appliances here. So all our apparatus or appliances then have smaller names. So a pumper is the main appliance. So that will have usually 4 to 5 firefighters on that, and it will be capable of doing everything like a squad truck would do. I'm trying to talk US terminology here, yeah? So they will be in charge of fire attack, search. They can even do small road accident rescue, initiate hazmats, things like that. Yeah, so they're the all rounder of the fire service. They do everything like a squad team would. And then we have our specialist appliances like a road accident rescue truck, yeah, or appliance. So they will be heavy rescue, that will be industrial rescue, rope access, and heavy road accident rescue. So they'll be coming along as well. And then we have specialist trucks like ladder appliances. So your ladder trucks are dedicated as search, where our ladder trucks are dedicated as access, basically access and support and waterways.
Okay.
So a lot of those will be a straight stick. So they'll be to access, parapets and things like that in a straight formation. And then we also have articulated trucks as well. I don't know if you can see, whoop, wrong side, something articulated like this. I even got props. How's that?
Nice, nice.
So an articulated platform.
Okay.
So we have a series of those as well, and that will help us with access to the roof spaces. Because we don't do a lot of roof operations like in the United States. That's due to our construction and lightweight. If you get up on our roof, it's mostly terracotta type tiles. And once they're affected, by heat, they become brittle. So it's pretty dangerous for us to be up on the roof. More often than not, we'd fall through a roof with all the gear we've got. So we have to change our tactics because of our construction. For search though, yeah, we don't have dedicated search teams. We're all rounders. So doctrine dictates what we do. If I know where my rescue is, so someone says, there's my rescue, my son is trapped in the first bedroom on the left, I know where I'm going. Yeah, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to effect that rescue. If I can see them in the second story window, I know where they are. That's my priority. But if we don't know where the victims are, we've got to stop the problem. So we go straight to fire attack. And if we find a rescue on the way, absolutely, I'm not going to ignore the person. I'm going to grab them, take them out. But we've got to stop that problem. If we don't stop it, everything gets worse.
Nope. So if it's known victim, known location, you're going to go try and effect the rescue. In all likelihood, always up to the commander on scene to make the call. Probably yes.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, if we know for without a doubt that we know where the victim is, we're going for it. Yeah, providing that uh, that it's tenable. You know, if we have full involvement and no survival spaces, that's extreme. Yeah, and unfortunate. But if we have survival spaces, we have the equipment and the means to make access and get to those spaces, we're going to do it.
Interesting. No, very
It's what the
interesting.
public expects us to do.
Cody Brooks is revisiting an older um, topic here. He asked it a while back, but I'm just now getting to the question. Being at FDIC, and you've kind of touched on this, but he's drilling down and says, what is the biggest difference between American and Australian firefighting? What do you think the biggest difference is as you see it?
I think we're basically what we were just talking about. Yeah, the dedicated trucks and engines and dedicated seating positions. Um, I know that it's not always the same throughout the whole fire service in the US, where you have good staffing in the big departments, and you have, you know, hopefully some type of staffing in the smaller stations out in the more rural areas. But I really like the fact that you know, going to a big station like, say, let's go to Chicago, where I got to have a look last year or this year. Yeah, they're dedicated positions. They sit there. One person knows that they're going to be doing search. One person knows that they're going to be getting the hose off. One person knows they're going to be sinking a hydrant or catching a hydrant. Yeah, I love that about the larger departments in the US. Your dedicated role, and that's what you're going to do.
Right.
For us, it differs though, because we may be one truck on scene for maybe 10 or so minutes, maybe sometimes more out in the regional areas. So that means between the four of you, you've got to operate all the functional roles in the fire ground.
No, yeah, more like our rural volunteer departments with showing up with no backup coming for quite some time and have to just deal with it and get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a few brigades or stations in areas where there's access to lots of resource. So you're going
Right.
to have lots of trucks standing up in a short period of time, and you can dedicate crews to one task. Yeah, and
Right.
that's ideal. That is absolutely ideal. But then we have areas where you don't have that. It's, you know, one person's going to have three tasks.
Right.
Yeah,
Just task
and beside
saturated
them
and
is going to
trying to
have
get it
another
done.
three tasks, and that's what has to happen.
Gotcha. No,
Yeah,
absolutely.
until relief turns up.
Kyle asks, can you
And because
describe?
one day,
No, go ahead.
no, go.
I didn't know.
I was just going to say, I, one day I can be in the city, right, where I'm working to a task, and then the next day I can be stationed out in the regional area where I'm tasked with three or four things. So our jobs are dynamic in that sense.
Right. No, yeah, absolutely. Um, back to Kyle's the next question from Kyle, which is, can you describe and he puts it in quotation marks, Australian way of fighting fire, specifically talking about nozzle work?
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
Okay.
um, look, we talk about it very simply. A lot of our tactics come from compartment fire behavior training. But in the last decade, we have, due to the fuels, due to the speed of fire behavior, and the changing environment, whether it be the construction, fuel makeup, or our equipment and how much advance it's got over the years, including our PPE and PPC. We now go to the idea of controlling the environment. So instead of where you have smooth bore surface cooling in volume, um, we try and use CFBT tactics in residential structures primarily
Repeat
to
that.
control the environment. And what's that?
Repeat the type of tactics. I didn't catch it.
So compartment fire behavior training, or
CFBT.
tactics.
Okay.
So
CFBT.
CFBT. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
Okay.
so to most of your viewers, that would be fog attack. Now, I know that there's a difference between what fog attack is and what people's perception of fog attack is. So, do we fight fire with a fog nozzle on the whole time? No, because that will make a very untenable space that creates too much steam. Yeah. So, we need to use in a smoke environment where we don't want the smoke to light up around us. We try and slow that by inerting the gas by putting droplets up there. So we cool that space and keep it cool so we can then move underneath it. So that is under high pressure, low volume droplets to get the really small droplets to interact with that smoke and that gas, which is very foreign. But that works. It absolutely works for us. We've been doing it for years and it works. We don't have any ill effect from it as long as you do it correctly, like every technique.
Sure.
So once we're moving towards that room of origin, controlling, keeping everything cold around us and nothing hot behind us, very similar to surface cooling concept.
And so
Yeah,
this is
bring the cold with you.
this is my ignorance on it. Is the gas contraction, is it close to the same as surface cooling, or I'm asking out of ignorance, not from the small
It's very
droplets.
similar. It is very similar. It's scientifically driven. Both of them are very scientifically driven, right? If we put too much water into that gas space, you get contraction. But if we're putting it in the wrong space, we get more steam because we're applying it, and we can have expansion and drop and mix up that environment. So it is a sword, yeah, a very finite sword. You've got to play it right.
Okay.
So we
No,
talk
no.
about the
Again,
right amount. So our rule of three with water application is the right amount in the right format in the right location. And if you can hit all three of those, you can control the environment. But you got to have a good fire behavior understanding. And that's where our recruit courses and all our staff are constantly being trained in fire behavior. And if they have a really good understanding of fire behavior, that's great. It works. But they also understand that when it doesn't work, how to switch. So we can go to surface cooling, but it's not going to be in smooth bore. It's just going to be a straight stream. And that's the beautiful thing about our combination nozzles is we can do finite gas cooling like in Europe, or we can go to now large volume water with low pressure and push water and surface cool, just not with the same efficiency as a smooth bore. And man, I'd love to have smooth bores. But as I said earlier, to change a whole fire service from combination nozzles to smooth bores is, what do? Just stick with what you've got because, it still works. We haven't had any ill effect. Or do we change completely, which is going to cost millions of dollars and probably
sure.
get a few people upset?
Well, not only that, but it's the efficiency isn't worth the entire changeover for the amount of efficiency you're talking about on the one aspect and give up
Yeah,
the other. So
yeah,
that you guys are used to in your culture. So yeah, it's phenomenal
yeah.
discussion. Rob wanted to know, Aussie Steve, are you guys flowing over 500 LPM or less?
Ooh, now I've got my sheet, so liters per minute I can speak about. So I can even talk in gallons, yeah? So about 500 liters per minute is when we're flowing in smooth, straight stream, yeah? So we want to put water onto the fire, the object that's burning, or we want to cool that surface down rapidly so it takes it out of its steaming capacity. We want to put volume, and yes, 500 liters per minute, which is 132 gallons,
Okay.
is what we're trying to achieve. But when we're going to gas cooling, it has to be less to get the droplets, and that's 100 liters per minute or 26 gallons.
Oh wow. So it is
Yeah,
super
that
efficient
might
in the
scare
water.
a lot of people.
No doubt.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And Europe do it even less. They use less water, and they do it very efficiently.
Wow.
Very high pressure, very low volume. But you can take it into context. If I'm not trying to search or save somebody's life in a building, so it's just a fire I'm dealing with, I want to try and preserve their property. I don't want to destroy their house as much as possible, yeah? But when it becomes a life problem, whether it's mine or the victim's problem, now all bets are off on the property. Priority is on the life. So I can apply more water because it's about trying to save that person, get the environment really cold, or trying to save my environment, get everything really cold. But when there's no life problem, no life risk, then I want to try and save someone's property because that's important to them. It could be commercial property that's going to provide livelihood to, you know, people's lives. You know, if their business is out of order, then their employees don't have work, then they don't have money. So there's different levels that you got to go with. And if we just destroy every business with volumes of water, yeah, it stops the fire, absolutely. But we also got to have that inherent responsibility to not destroy the property more than what it was when we got there. Sometimes we can't. Sometimes we can't.
No, and there is some differences in just the culture or mindset in the American Fire Service versus the Australian when it comes to that. Because you've mentioned even survivables or survivable space, and that's been a big argument, so to speak, back here in the States over the last few years of survivable versus searchable, or yeah, is it empty until we say it's empty? Those kind of things is what you're bringing up here, and it's just I don't know where if those are arguments you guys have there or they have them in Europe. I don't know, and that's my ignorance, and that's why I like talking to you.
Oh, absolutely. It's global. Yeah, we have those discussions all the time. We go, well, is there a space where someone can survive in this building? And then some people turn up to a job where there's fire coming out the whole front of the building, and they say it's fully involved. But you go around the back, it's not on fire. There's space there. So even our vernacular here is just like what's happening in the US, which is happening in the UK, and it's probably happening in every other country. Where if if we choose the correct terminology and I say the front of the building is involved, to me, coming on scene as a second truck, I go, well, I want to get around the back of the building and search that space. But if somebody says on the radio, the house is fully involved, I am imagining, well, the house is gone.
Right.
Yeah, so even incident controllers can dictate our level of mentality when approaching a fire scene by using the correct vernacular or the terminology.
I love it. I'm learning new things. Incident controller, I like that, and then data, data,
Data.
data. I gotta say data correctly. Um, I have a son and a data. That's what. But no, absolutely. I have some fun questions here that I really want to know the answer to. One of them was Michael Ramirez wanted to know what top 3 states would Aussie Steve move to in the U.S. and why?
Wow. Wow. Look, I love Melbourne, right? Australia, Melbourne down the very bottom. Melbourne for me is a really good pace. It's orderly. The streets are in a grid fashion. I'd get lost if I can't find myself around and navigate around. And it's just got this sophistication about it. Sorry, Sydney and Brisbane, but it just seems to me to be a better place to live. So it has to be something similar. Now, I haven't been to every state in the US. I did live in Colorado for 4 seasons in the
Oh, wow.
snowfields. So um, Denver's always, or Colorado's had has a big place in my heart in that sense. New York was impressive. It's just huge. I think it would be too big for me. But I recently saw Chicago, and Chicago just screamed Melbourne. It was just a really well laid out area. Um, and if I was going to be a firefighter, they go to plenty of jobs in Chicago, especially down in the south. They're crazy down there, and it's by a bay. you got to have something near water. Yeah, Australia, everyone is near water. We all live within, I think it's like 90% or 80% of Australians live within 50 kilometers of a beach.
Oh wow.
So you got to be near water if you're Australian and living in the middle of the country. The only way I could do that is if I'm near a ski mountain.
Okay.
Chicago, let's go Chicago. I was really impressed.
Final answer. There you go.
There
Good
you go.
answer. Good answer. Like it. I'm looking at questions here. I'm finding the final questions as we move towards the books and whatnot. Derek 8 wants to know, when it comes to water sources, do you have ample amount of hydrants, or do you utilize drafting, or I don't know if they're tankers, tenders, or what do you call them there?
Yeah, so our pumpers are generally in urban built areas which have reticulated water source. So that's ground mains, which is great, almost everywhere. Very rarely do we have problems finding mains. And if we do, it's just about putting more pumps in series to move that water along. When we go out to regional areas and farmlands and things like that, yeah, absolutely. We need tankers then. So our tankers are our bulk water carriers, and they'll be either drafting or ferrying water back and forth to the fire ground. Generally, we don't set up big drafting operations unless it's a long, prolonged job.
Okay. Some sort of like wildfire deployment or something. Okay.
Yeah,
Greg,
wildfire deployment. Yeah.
coming at you from the Vigilante Watch Party that's happening over in Discord, by the way. But from the Vigilante Watch Party, they said, do y'all, and there's a y'all in there, y'all, do you all preach the firefighter rescue survey like it is here in the States for your searches? Like, has that had an effect on you? Because it's been a big impact here, the data coming from firefighter rescue survey here in the States.
Yeah. No, we don't have that here. I would love it to be here. It'd be a bit of a process to get that implemented here, just due to politically driven reasons. Yeah.
Sure.
But the beautiful thing about the firefighter rescue survey,
right on.
beautiful thing about it is Americans and Australians, we're not dissimilar. Yeah, we have houses, we live the same way. Our quality of life is very similar. So our habits are the same. So looking at your data is been instrumental for us to implement ways of doing search. So when I teach search, it's not I want you to go in and do a left-hand search and make your way around the whole building. It's now, I know at 3 o'clock in the morning, we're going to put fire attack in a space to confine the fire. And the first place we're going to search is the bedrooms, because that's statistics. That's what's coming out of the research, the data.
Beautiful. No.
So we definitely steal a lot of things from you guys. That is one thing that I love reading and looking at the data sets. And Project Mayday as well. Fantastic source of information, regardless of where you live. I think
I agree
humans are the same. Yeah, we all want to try and get out of a fire, and we all have the same habits.
No, I love that. I love that answer. Kyle is asking, Steve, is there a system for tracking the number of civilian fatalities that occur in structure fires in Australia? Is there any data? Now I'm saying data without even meaning to.
Yes, there is. So we have fire reporting systems. So incident controllers will go back to their stations and input all the data through so what we call fire incident report systems, or FIRS. And that information is collected and is presented in more of a holistic view for the organization. So we still have to report back annually with annual reports to the government and to the public, because it's all public documentation. It shows the statistics of everything. Does it go into, was the person 25 years old and saved in a bedroom? generally not that in depth.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
I wish it was.
Right. No, absolutely. But you do. They are collecting some data right now. It sounds like NIFRs with the American Fire Service
Yeah,
before the Firefighter Rescue
yeah.
Survey came along to start getting more data sets pulled into it. Fireman 718 says, "Have you ever done ride time in the U.S.? If not, would you be interested?"
Um, yes, yes, I have. And I'll pause. So my experience overseas is obviously on my own back. So I don't get nothing's really sanctioned by my work. Fantastic organization as it is. Being 4,000 people, I'm still a small fish. Yeah.
Right.
And to send someone like myself over for several $1,000s doesn't make sense. But the beautiful thing about going to the States is you guys are so hospitable. It's amazing. You go over there, you say, "Hey, I'm an Australian," and then it's almost like, "Oh, you've got to come to my house. You got to go check out my fire trucks." So last year or this year actually at FDIC, Chicago really took us on board. So CFD, beautiful people, very hospitable. We got to hang out at a fire station up in the north of Chicago at station. No, I won't say names. I won't say names. But legitimately, we got to hang out with Station Squad 5 in the south of Chicago and do some drills with them, which was fantastic, and go on ride alongs and go check out their college, which was really good. So good to see how other fire services are training. When I was in New York with my friends, we got to also go to the college there. We got looked after actually by Frank Lieb,
Nice.
one of your alumni. Yep. So he took us on a huge tour of the facility and really gave us the gold standard tour. Had a good steak lunch with him, tuna steak, and then he said, "Well, we're going to go down to Rescue 2 to check that out." And I hope I don't get him in trouble for this, but he gave us his driver to go down there. And so instead of us catching taxis and stuff, we got driven across there in one of the battalion cars, I guess. So gold standard wherever we go, get to look at stations, couple of ride-alongs. And yes, if I go back, I'll take up that offer, and which I think I'm going back next year.
Awesome.
But the cool thing was Frank Lee came to Australia
Yes.
last year or this year,
It was
not long ago.
January or February, I believe it was.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I got to repay him that favor. I was his driver Joe for a day.
Nice.
Took him around Melbourne. We got a VIP entrance into everywhere we went. Went down to the beach, let them have a swim in the ocean, and got to show them all around the fire service here. So as much as it goes out one way, it comes back the other way, and it's fantastic. Those bonds that you make just keep getting stronger and stronger, and that's one good thing. You've got to get out of your fire station and see everyone else and make those connections and network, because otherwise, stuff like this wouldn't happen.
No,
I
right.
went to the States and got to meet you, Corley, and then you said, "Oh, you're the Australian guy who keeps logging in and listening to my scrap." And then we've just had this connection now,
No.
and here we are. And that happens so much. The connections are invaluable, absolutely invaluable, and it's all around the world. I just had a conference here called AFAC. It's a small Australian conference, and there's people from FDIC that come to that, and you walk the showroom floor, and they're like, "Hey, I remember you," and you have great conversations.
No, you just encapsulated what makes the American Fire Service, the Fire Service. I have to qualify what I say tonight and say what makes the Fire Service so great. I am biased in my love of the American Fire Service. Don't get me wrong, but I'm broadening my horizons as we speak. So you just encapsulated what makes the Fire Service so great. It's that shared kinship, camaraderie that just exists. So
Yeah, absolutely.
and Frank Lieb's one of the best people on the planet. I'll go on record and say that he's an amazing person.
Absolute legend. Absolute legend. And his wife is such a lovely lady too.
Yeah, Lynn is awesome. So no, without a doubt, man. Amazing, amazing. Which takes me to one of my favorite questions I love to ask. I see a bookshelf behind you, and there's some books that I don't know if those are props,
Yeah.
but book or books that you think firefighters should be reading.
All right. Yeah. So I don't have them all here, but let's start with what I've got up here. Yeah. I'm going to go
Yeah.
with some European stuff.
Okay.
So I really believe in you've got to learn all aspects of the fire service, whether you do it or not. Yeah. To really understand it. And I find that there's a lot of pockets in the United States where fog attack is not well received because it's not well understood. So one
Agreed.
person who is the best at delivering information is this guy, Paul Grimwood. And this is just one of his books called Euro Firefighter.
Good eye, Rob. Good eye.
Paul Grimwood is just the smartest guy I've ever had the opportunity to read his books with. Yeah, I'd love to meet him. He lives in the UK, so it's a bit far for me. But wow, what a guy. So check out Paul Grimwood. He's amazing. This guy, he's pretty cool.
That's a token. I take it. I take it. Yeah. I love it. Yes. Obligation fulfilled. Check that box. All right.
I think everyone in America has read something from this guy or understands who he is, but I had to take the opportunity at FDIC to get a hardback version.
Very nice.
So loving this book. I struggle to read it because I read something and I go, wow, that's awesome. Oh, I need to go look at my documentation, see how we can implement that or how to redo that. Yeah, it's just a great book to read. Another one from the UK about decision making on the fire ground. Now, I got to meet this lady a few weeks ago, which was even more special because I love getting signed autographs, obviously.
Nice.
Right? But this book by Sabrina Cohen-Hatton called The Heart of the Moment is a really good book by a lady who really encapsulates decision making. Now, she's also a psychologist, I think. Dr. Sabrina Cohen-Hatton. Yeah, that's a book. Yeah, got to look outside of. If you want to look outside of your country, that's a good one.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Cynic, one of my absolute favorites.
Always.
Yes.
Always.
Love it.
Always.
Leaders Eat Last is my favorite, but yeah, go ahead.
Here's my last one. Right, you've had him on the scrap. Right, but I don't think anyone's ever said anything about his books being mentioned as one of the books. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, brother, yeah, absolutely.
These books are amazing. These books are amazing. He's got a whole series of them, and of course, got to be signed.
Paul Combs, absolutely one of my favorite people.
I'm not a huge reader of books. Yeah, I like reading. Documents, data, things like that. That's going to support me operationally. But you have that on the fire table, yeah, on the firehouse table. You put that there, and you can learn so much just from those pictures.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, let's just open up to one picture. Okay. There's a topic right there. You can all start talking about that on the fire station. It is a conversation starter. Amazing book. Amazing book.
Rob Pitcher said Aussie Steve is a truckie because he likes cartoons / picture books.
Oh yeah.
Well, does Paul Combs' artwork translate well to the Australian Fire Service? Obviously, I mean,
look, the artwork is American driven, yeah.
Sure. But the topics is what I mean.
That's the topics, absolutely. Yeah, some of the things are absolutely relatable, like decon, leadership. The sky's the limit. Rapid intervention stuff, maydays, calling a mayday, and how important that is.
Yeah.
And there's so much information in here. It's definitely relatable.
And that is the first time he's been brought up. You're right. I mean, his drawings come up all the time, but his actual books. And so amazing. Great call. Great call. Which takes us to my favorite part of every scrap. the 5 questions for firefighters. You've been well exposed to them, so I don't have to explain how it works. For the listeners who may not know, the 5 questions for firefighters, there is no right answer. It's only Steve's opinion. This is the 5 questions for firefighters version 3.2. Your answers is just your opinion. The points are passed out by me with the help of the audience. So, Steve, are you ready for the 5 questions for firefighters?
Yes, let's go.
I should have. Well, it doesn't matter. I don't know if there's a equivalent monument to Mount Rushmore that exists in Australia that has like 4 statues or something. You know what I mean?
No, we don't have one, but I've got that question covered.
Okay.
Let's go.
I should have done my better research. But here we go. Number 1, what is the skill that has carried you through your fire service career?
This was the hardest one for me to think of. I struggle to think about myself in that fashion a lot. So this one was actually is my wife's answer. She's seen my whole fire service career, the good, the bad, the ugly, and she says determination. Determination. She says a lot of the time when I'm told that something can't be done, I'll look at ways to make sure that we can try and get it done. I don't give up easily. And actually, I love the challenge. I love being challenged. I love being uncomfortable at the topics that don't get, tackled, and implementing stuff and seeing it through. So I'm very determined in that fact. And I think all those times when people tell you you can't do something because you're not at the high rank, you can't make change, I call BS. I think if you are determined enough, you can manage people both up at parity and below, as long as you've got the facts, the data, and the drive behind you. If you can do all that, you can push forward, right? But it might not happen tomorrow. It might take you 3 or 4 years. So you've got to be realist. Definitely got to be realist.
Got to have that determination.
Got to have the determination. Otherwise, you just give up. You just give up, and there goes your good idea, and it may never happen.
No, I love it. It's beautiful. And I love the fact, max points, easy max points for determination and your explanation that goes along with it. But I love the fact that you've got the answer from your wife, because they know us, sometimes they give us the insight, good or bad, both ways, but they give us the insight we need to understand something about ourselves. So I love that.
Man, I'm so blessed to have such a solid wife who understands me and my passions and is accepting. Sometimes she pushes back a bit, but is accepting. Yeah. Sure. And to have someone like that in your corner is
froze up. Well, I'll talk to the audience and I'll talk to the podcast for a minute. Yeah, Josh Everett said amazing answer. Rob Lyle said max points. It's a great answer. It was a great answer. Derek, I did mention that Aussie Steve was from the future. It was right at the beginning when I was doing the introduction. I said the man from the future. I don't know if we've referenced it since then, but it was right out the gate. And Rob Fisher referencing max points on the American.
Back?
You are back. You are back. I'll quit rambling. So you got max points.
That's right.
You got max points. Moving, if you're there. I'm waiting. I'm waiting to see you move again and talk to me. We might have hit the limit on him making it to. He's back. Wait, he's trying. He's fighting through. Australia
back again.
Is fighting
back
through.
Again.
Yep, you're back. Here we go. We're fighting. Number 2.
It's those pigeons going back and forth over the big pond.
Number 2. It's Jobtown. It's time.
Let's go.
You got to pick your song en route to that work and structure fire. What song are you playing? I'm listening. Did I lose him? Mic check.
You got me?
I got you. You're moving. Talk to me.
Have you got me? Yeah?
I've got you.
Good. I didn't hear the question, but I know what it is.
All right, number 2.
Song.
Yes.
Songs, yeah? Okay.
Yes.
So I wanted to put something very Australian in. And then thinking back to all the podcasts, AC/DC, a good Sydney band, has been well represented. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Okay.
Then I thought about the song that we all want to say. And so this isn't my final song, but I think we all think about it, especially if we live in a built up traffic area. Ludicrous, move, get out the way.
Get out the way.
I think
Okay.
we've all had that in our head at some stage.
Okay.
But I think the song that really gets me going and probably gets me in that chill moment is a very old song, "Lagrange" by ZZ Top.
Ooh. I like it.
Yeah,
No,
just gets me in the right frame of mind.
I love it, brother. I love it. Absolutely. That's the first ZZ Top too. I want to. Again, I've been a lot of them, so I may be mistaken. But in my terrible memory, that's the first time ZZ Top has been put on there, and it's a fantastic song to choose to go en route to a fire. So max points on
Oh
number
yeah.
2. Number 3. What is your favorite fire service tradition?
It has to be graduation day. And the reason why is it's for the family. It is the one time the family really gets an insight into what their son, their husband, or their father is going through and about to go through for the rest of their career. They get to see all the hype. Sometimes different places do demonstrations, so we do fire demonstrations. They get to see just the ceremony and how much effort goes into it. Their partners or their family members have been gone for a couple of months, sometimes half a year, depending on where you train. And for them to come out the other end from a civilian to a firefighter at the start of their career, that's a huge transition. That's probably the biggest transition for most humans, to go from not knowing anything about firefighting or very limited to now being able to go and set foot on the fire ground.
Hmm.
And that is a moment that needs to be shared with with their families. It's very important. It's kind of like that crossover. So I love the graduations, the pomp that goes behind it. Pomp
Nice.
being that British term.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it. I love the answer. I love the answer, especially because it's not just the graduation, it's that the family gets exposed to all of that. Beautiful answer. You got 3 for 3 on max points. Number 4, this one's on the clock. You get 1 minute to answer. And it's, who are the 4 people that you would put on your Mount Rushmore of the fire service? And go.
I'm going to put 2 to 2 to get in this, right? So my Australian version is some really big names in Australia. So I've got Queensland, Shan Raphael. He's pretty much one of the grandfathers of CFBT and a good mentor of mine, whether he knows it or not. John McDonough in New South Wales. Again, everything I know is probably come from him in a lot of sense. In Victoria, one of my good friends, good mentors, love him dearly, Jared Mann. That guy's going places. You'll get to see him at FDIC, so check him out, Jared Mann. And one of the persons that I've just been met last year at FDIC from WA is Greg Henry. Wow, he's worked on big box stuff. Yeah. Do I have time for an international one?
Yeah, I will. Since you are one of the, yes, absolutely. You can. I will basically let Sam reset the clock if he's able to. Real quick, I want to say Gerard Mann is planning. We plan to have him on the scrap. He'll be the second Australian to come on the scrap. So I'm looking forward to that also. But yeah, I want to hear the international version also. This is the international exception to the 1 minute rule. Go ahead.
Yeah. These are the 4 people that, if you're going to look outside the US, they're just exceptional, right? I've talked about Paul Grimwood in the UK, and he's got about 4 books. John Chubb from Dublin Fire Service, and his wealth of knowledge in tall and complex buildings. So if you're into high-rise firefighting, he's someone you need to tap into. Someone who's very controversial but fantastic to listen to on the YouTube is Lars Axelsson, also known as the Swedish Fire Nerd.
Swedish Fire Nerd.
And the last one, yeah, wow, man, you can listen to him whether you like him or love him or hate him. The information is solid. Yeah, he just explores the controversy amongst everything, and it's great. And Michael Reich, who I mentioned earlier about the smoke curtain, this guy understands smoke flow through high-rise buildings and how to overcome